Have you ever had a quiet moment late at night where you suddenly felt like you were falling behind in life? Not because you clearly failed at something, but because everyone around you seems to be moving forward faster. Someone you know just got promoted, someone else got married, and another person just bought their first home. Meanwhile, you are still trying to understand what direction your own life is supposed to take. The feeling is not dramatic or loud, but it quietly lingers in the background of your thoughts. It almost feels like everyone else heard a starting signal that you somehow completely missed. Now you're trying to catch up, but no matter how fast you move, it still feels late. That uncomfortable sensation actually has a psychological explanation behind it. And surprisingly, it has very little to do with your real level of progress. It has much more to do with how often you compare your life to others. Your brain was never designed to evaluate growth in complete isolation from other people. Instead, it constantly measures your progress relative to the people you can observe. And in today's world, you are exposed to more visible lives than ever before. You no longer just witness success occasionally in your immediate circle. You see carefully curated highlight reels of achievement every single day. Your brain evolved to compare you within small groups, not against thousands of visible strangers. In early human environments, comparison usually happened inside a small tribe of familiar people. Now your brain compares you to millions of individuals across different industries and lifestyles. And it treats each visible milestone as a standard that you should personally be reaching, even when those milestones were never aligned with your specific circumstances or interests. Psychologists call this automatic behavior social comparison bias. You instinctively measure yourself against the most visible and impressive examples available. However, you rarely see their private struggles, insecurities, or ongoing difficulties. You end up comparing your everyday reality to someone else's carefully edited best moments. That imbalance naturally creates a distorted perception of your own progress. Your accomplishments begin to feel smaller than they actually are in reality, because gradual growth rarely feels dramatic while it is happening. Your brain responds more strongly to loud public milestones than quiet personal improvement. A promotion, engagement, or a house purchase is highly visible and socially validated. But healing emotionally or building discipline happens silently without applause. There is another hidden factor contributing to this feeling of being behind. Most people carry an invisible timeline of what should happen by certain ages. By 22, you should graduate, and by 25, you should feel stable. By 30, you are supposed to have your direction clearly defined. No official authority assigned you this timeline, yet it feels strangely mandatory. This mental structure creates what psychologists call the timeline illusion. You assume life progresses in a straight and predictable sequence. But real life rarely unfolds in a clean linear path. Some people start earlier, some pivot later, and others completely restart their journey. Social media compresses these complex paths into simplified success snapshots. You see 10 years of struggle summarized in a 10-second post. Your brain then assumes that progress happened smoothly and effortlessly. So when your own growth feels slow, you interpret it as failure. However, slow progress is still genuine forward movement. The issue is not your speed, but the unrealistic comparison point you are using. Underneath this comparison lies a deeper and more personal fear. You begin wondering whether you are running out of time entirely. You worry that the window for opportunity might already be closing. Time starts feeling like a countdown rather than an open resource. Yet most of that countdown pressure exists only in your imagination. We tend to overestimate how much must be achieved early in life, and we underestimate how long and flexible life actually is. People change careers, reinvent identities, and succeed at ages far beyond 30. But those later reinventions rarely receive the same visibility online. So your brain creates the illusion that success has an expiration date. In reality, there is no universal deadline attached to growth. What truly expires faster is often your patience, not your opportunity. Impatience alters how you perceive distance and possibility. When you feel late, every goal appears further away than it truly is. The distance has not changed. Your perception of it has shifted. Feeling behind does not automatically mean that you are behind. It often means you are measuring yourself against a distorted reference. You might be comparing your early chapters to someone else's advanced ones, without understanding the unseen effort that filled their missing pages. Growth is rarely obvious while you are in the middle of it. It often feels repetitive, slow, and even ordinary. Yet consistency quietly compounds in ways that are difficult to notice daily. Over time, those small steps accumulate into visible progress. The people you admire once experienced uncertainty similar to yours. You simply never witnessed their earlier moments of doubt. There is no universal clock governing when success must occur. There is also no official deadline for becoming who you want to be. Your timeline is not broken or delayed. It is simply unfolding in a way that is uniquely yours. And different does not mean inferior or behind. Perhaps you are not behind at all. Perhaps you are just earlier in your personal development process. You may be building something that is not immediately visible to others. And that invisibility can make progress feel non-existent. But invisible effort still carries real long-term impact. Most meaningful progress does not arrive with noise or celebration. It usually feels repetitive and quietly demanding. Because it lacks excitement, you tend to underestimate its value. If you step back and observe your path from a distance, your view would change. You would likely realize that you have already moved further than you thought. You are not late in any absolute sense. You are not failing simply because your pace looks different. You are moving according to your own circumstances and timing. Pace only becomes stressful when you believe you are in competition. But your life was never designed to be a race against others. So, you are not behind in life. You are simply living a timeline that was never meant to match anyone else's.